Greetings! Oh, what is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is kind of hiding, and the magpie is pretty much casting. Coming to you guys this lockdown Blurs Day, May the 5th, with a live 1 vs 1. A company of heroes do battle, fresh from the top of the ladder, featuring a spawning in the north. It's going to be the Vermac pieces of Skeletron. And spawning in the south, playing as the United Kingdom forces, it will be FK9's Double D. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've definitely cast FK9 Double D. Pretty talented player here for sure. His CV is, it all checks out. He's, he, she, they has been playing this game for long enough to know exactly what they're doing. I've seen some pretty spicy stuff from them on the channel in the past. Skeletron, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I definitely have cast Skeletron before, but I just has not left any sort of mental imprint of their personality or characteristics or anything like that, particularly, so I can't really remember what they're up to in the game. We're gonna have to see what they bring in this sample of one here. So excuse me, let's just check out what commanders we're rolling with here. Skeletron's bringing the mobile defense doctrine, the, I'm gonna just guess, German infantry doctrine, yeah, and this guy on the left who it doesn't actually not ringing any bells. Strategic Reserves Doctrine. Oh, okay, yeah. So this is one of the newer ones that I don't think I've ever actually used. So let's take a look here. We get Assault Grenadiers. We get the Panzer IV Ausf J on Wehrmacht, so that's interesting. We get Breakthrough Equipment. Pioneers can be upgraded with special packages to clear obstacles. Panzer Grenadiers can get Model 24 Smoke Grenadiers. Okay. We get Mobile Observation Posts, which is a buff for your 251 half tracks. That's pretty cool. That is actually pretty cool. And then you get the Tiger Ace, which has always been a powerful button to be able to press. Now, that Mobile Observation Posts has piqued my curiosity to some extent. So simply because when you're playing Wehrmacht, I have noticed, more so than other factions, having a unit that extends your line of sight, or a mean of doing that, is really powerful. Wehrmacht just have a lot of stuff that cares about line of sight, and also perhaps because Wehrmacht are a fragile but powerful faction, knowledge of where your opponent is committing their units and from which directions your opponent's units are going to be approaching your position is super valuable for them. Any amount of line of sight also synergizes, in my opinion, really well with Stugs. And Stugs are actually a unit that is quite cost effective. They are not that expensive, and they are actually effective against pretty much any target in the game. And that's a very special recipe. No other faction, in my opinion, actually has access to a unit that is a good analog of the Stug. The Stug will kill pretty much anything, and it has even got good range, you know? It's just a great unit for the price and for the time that you get it. It's one of my favourite things about Wehrmacht. It's quite a special unit. I kind of wish we saw it more. But anytime that you can give Stugs extra line of sight, I used to be I always used to roll with at least one spotting scope commander, just because sometimes I'd be like, I'm going to play Stugs today, and I would go for at least 2 Stugs, probably 3, with spotting scopes. And just with 2 or 3 Stugs, you know, you can have one in west, one in east, one in mid, or whatever it is that you're doing on the map that you're playing, and you can actually generate quite a lot of value. Anyway, it looks like, boringly enough, Skeletron's going to go ahead and pick the German infantry doctrine. Rifle grenade! Going to be dodged. And that is less exciting for me. This is just a commander I can't get excited about. Like, what is German Infantry Doctrine doing? We see people take it time and time again, and every time I'm just like, is this really doing anything for you? Like, that another commander would not have done better? But people are definitely taking it. It's definitely doing something in the meta. Hopefully Skeletron is going to show me why I'm wrong to doubt this commander in this game. Now, FK9 Double D is rolling with Vanguard Ops, who I love. This is probably still my favorite UKF commander. I don't know about that, actually, but he's a real good one. Special Operations, I believe it is. No, it's Commando Regiment. God damn, I always confuse Special Operations and Commando. And Mobile Assault Regiment. So that's the Land Mattress Geezer, who we did get to check out in yesterday's games on the channel. And safe to say, the Land Mattress definitely still maintaining its esteem, in my opinion. It's just still good. I like it. It brings something to UKF forces that they don't really have access to elsewhere in a rocket artillery unit. And it actually, I think rocket artillery synergizes with all the other stuff that UKF are doing, just to a much greater extent than rocket artillery synergizes with stuff that other factions are doing. So anyway, looks like we've got a 250 half-track coming on in. Flamethrower Pioneers are in the back there, already doing a great amount of damage. Going to break some Tommies and a Vickers gun, so a nice momentum play here. Actually, he's going to come in and looking for the kill on these Tommies. That's pretty nice. Oh my god, he's totally going to get this. There's nothing to stop this. This Tommy's just dead. Wow. Skeletron. Okay, I am becoming increasingly sold on this commander. Now, this is not the only commander that has access to the 250 half-track and, you know, that can let you do this. But he's definitely found some value there. I am assuming that he's getting away with this Pioneer with Flamethrower. Yeah, absolutely fine. Not even down to his last pixel. Had a little more to give on that one. So, you trade out the 250 half-track. That's pretty much going to happen every time you do this sort of thing. But that's acceptable to wipe one of your opponent's core infantry squads at a very early point in the game. Now, the 250 half-track, how much does this V cost us, Das? 210 manpower and 20 fuel to wipe out... How much are Tommies these days, actually? It's been so long since I checked. To wipe out a 270 manpower infantry section. So, jury's out. There are arguments to be made on either side as to whether that's an exchange that's strictly great for the German player, or whether you would prefer not to do that. Stormtroopers coming out now, MP40 upgrade complete on them, so we're seeing more utility be gained out of this German infantry commander. So already I'm feeling like Skeletron came into this game with a plan in mind for this commander, and we're seeing that plan unfold. So that does make me excited. I'm glad he's putting on a decent showcase of what this commander can do. So, yeah. I mean, so you basically, with the 250 trade, you trade out, like, a similar-ish amount of manpower and 20 fuel, which ain't nothing. Like, fuel is a very important resource, especially in these stages of the game. That has materially delayed his teching, and it will mean that, you know, any Panzer IV or whatever fuel choice you're going to be spending later on in the game is going to be later. But you did wipe your opponent's core infantry at the early stages of the game, and that's usually really strong. So, like I say, jury's still out. I'm not convinced either way that that was a great exchange for either player. But Skeletron definitely wanted to make it happen, and he did. So I have to feel like it favoured the Axis player considerably. So we've got the Assault Officer on the field. Of course, this is now how UKF work. You can always build this guy from your base. And he's really cool. He has a lot of close-range DPS. I mean, he's just an air-landing field officer. He has gammon bombs without any research being needed, so he's a nice way of actually having some kind of munitions explosive from an infantry squad without having to research grenade package or hammer tech or anything like that, which is nice for UKF to have access to. And he has the stim infantry ability, and of course actually that one gets the recon sweep, so a lot of utility to be gained off of the air landing field officer or the assault officer. Now how much is the assault officer? Oh, where are we building him from? Here we go. 320, so definitely not a cheap squad by any means. UKF squad's already usually slightly more expensive. Telemines beginning to appear in various locations, looking to catch out any UKF AECs or Bren carriers. No sign of AEC tech yet. In fact, it's going to be 6-pounder anti-tank gun. Now, a couple of people have commented recently on the channel, and this is absolutely fair, that I call the British anti-tank gun a 1/4-pounder, and no part of that is accurate. Nothing about this anti-tank gun weighs a 1/4 pound. Indeed, the shells it fires weigh 24 1/4 pounds. I only really call it the 1/4-pounder because it's got a Q. It's a QF 6-pounder. And for some reason, my brain looks at that and it goes Q preceding pounder equals 1/4-pounder. I don't know if this just means I've spent too much time in the queue at McDonald's or what, but that is what my brain sees. And I've been doing it so long now, it's kind of stuck. I realise it is not the correct name for the unit. Absolutely not. Oh, we've just lost a unit there somewhere. Was that a Tommy squad getting wiped again? I feel like it was. That's pretty horrendous for FK9DD. Oh well. So yeah, as I was saying, I do realise that I call this thing the wrong thing. I will probably try and... I might start calling it the Hex Pounder. The Hex Pounder. Yeah, we can deal with that. Just because that is actually, like, more accurate. Is this additional... Wow, so there are British mines next to telemines. Now, these mines will be set off by infantry and will then detonate the telemines, which have a rather more spectacular blast. So any Axis units triggering those mines are gonna be in for quite a shock. Let's put it that way. Their world will be rocked. MG42 trading out with incendiary ammo in this building, by the way, doing grievous damage to these Tommies, but it's getting rather low. I hope that Skeletron hasn't forgotten to take it out. It's so easy to do that with units that are in buildings like that. Okay, there we go. Safe to say, the Axis player dominating these early phases of play. We've seen repeated Axis access to this cut-off point here. And here we go again, cutting off, what is this, three regular points of fuel and ammunition point. Like, this is mad value. And there have been squad wipes inflicted on the UKF lineup, and we've not really seen any British forces make it onto the north half of the map whatsoever. Pressure is being applied. Look at this Axis composition. I'm starting to believe in the German infantry doctrine. 2 squads of stormtroopers with MP40s provides some close-range DPS. They're being backed up by 3 squads of grenadiers, one of whom has G43 squad leader package, and the other one with an LMG. So some nice diversity in this roster. Another grenadier squad yet to be upgraded. Of course, you cannot you don't have infinite munitions, especially when you're playing as Wehrmacht. So yeah. This is just a cool, very punchy, very potent infantry lineup. No anti-vehicle to speak of yet, but there are telemines on the map, and you know, I'm sure we'll have pack guns coming up shortly. Holy spoons, he has actually skipped like the mechanized company. He already has support armor core down. How much? Jesus Christ, we've got an Ostwind on the queue. Wow, when you get off to a good start with Wehrmacht, you really can get an Ostwind or a Panzer IV out at like the sub 14 minute mark, sub 13 minute. And this is pretty, I mean, I grant you the Ostwind is cheaper than a Panzer IV, so that's why it's coming out at the sub 12 minute mark. But this is looking real good right now for Skeletron. This momentum based play is going to synergize really, really nicely with an Ostwind. Because all of your targets right now are infantry squads. They are all already way taxed. Like, look how beaten up this UKF roster is. It's so small. It's so beaten up. It's just desperately trying to hold the doorstep of the UKF base. And this is just lovely play from Skeletron. And yeah, the Ostwind is going to be so difficult to deal with. Now, there is still the Hex Pounder on the field. That is going to be able to help. And thank God that this is here, because otherwise the Ostwind is essentially checkmate. If he loses that Hex Pounder in a place where he can't recrew it, he might just be dead. But here we go. Oh no, here comes the bad news. Now, hang on a second. There's also a chance that the Ostwind rolls over these mines and then gets blown up on the telemines. So it doesn't look like that's going to happen now, but just there is a timeline where that happens. Loads more mines being put down in various places, but the Axis player totes scouted those, so those are unlikely to achieve anything. Now, we are kind of used to seeing this sort of stuff happening, in a way, at this stage in the game. UKF forces are definitely weakest in the first 15 minutes of the game, and they almost play like Axis do against the other allied factions. You know, it's all about, whoa, okay, there goes the double mine blast. That's going to rip apart the Stormtrooper squad. No squad wipe, though, so I imagine Skeletron will pull those boys back momentarily. There we go. But as I was saying, yeah, with UKF, the plan is often survive, stabilize, and then crush. So we do often see UKF players have a rough opening game and then stabilize. Here comes another grenade, and then stabilize, and then, you know, start winning later on once the UKF tech tree starts paying off. And I think Skeletron is playing really cognizant of that dynamic, like leaning into the UKF weakness with a lot of pressure early on, utilizing a really atypical Wehrmacht composition. Oh god, did he just... Yep, wiped out an infantry section. Jesus, FK9DD is in such a rough spot this game. But as I was saying, yeah, Skeletron really exploiting, with a lot of pressure, exploiting this early game UKF sort of weakness. Until UKF have access to some of their squad upgrades, then they are usually outnumbered. Like, your average UKF squad costs a bit more manpower than, like, anyone else's thing. So, like, Vickers guns, Tommies, like, pretty much anything you care to mention. The UKF are paying a premium for it. And that's fine, because their units are really good in lots of ways, and they scale amazingly into the late game and stuff. So, I mean, that's, you know, the faction is balanced. Like, that's how it is balanced. Whoa, actually, Ostwind coming in for a bit of a strafing run along the front line. Hex Pounder's in a lovely position, though. There are 2 Hex Pounders, though, so this Ostwind is, like... has to be a bit careful, gets shot right up, gun gets broken, many Axis squads get broken, and this could be the window FK9DD needs to actually get off the doorstep of his base and establish a decent line on the map. So the substantial backbone of the Axis army right now is broken and heading back. So I feel like this is the window to get something done. Now, let's check the tech here for the UKF player. How much fuel have we got? So we could be getting company command post like... Whoa, we already have company command post? Oh, of course we do. We're like 15 minutes into this game. Okay, cool. Well, he's actually... So he could be saving for a Cromwell or whatever he wants. As you can see, 300 points. So FK9DD opening up the scoreline advantage. Skeletron opening up the scoreline advantage. FK9DD doing what needs to be done to hang in this game, which, as I often say, is to control one of the victory points and one of the fuel points. If you can do that, then you will have a shot at redemption in the later mid-game, usually. So it's going to be a Cromwell. That does make sense. You know your opponent has Ostwind, and your opponent's infantry is beating you up, and a Cromwell will help against all of those things. However, there's also a Panzer IV already out, so... This Cromwell is going to have to face off against a Panzer IV. That fight can go either way, and to be fair, the Cromwell has 2 quarter-pounders, and there is no pack gun. In fact, is there still no light mechanized company? Yeah, so it's just going to be this. Oh my god, the cutoff again. But it's just going to be this this Panzer IV in terms of anti-tank resources. So actually, oh sorry, having said that, no, Panzer Shreks are actually appearing on the Stormtroopers now. So there's more anti-tank resources appearing, and now the quarter-pounder gun gets taken out. If Axis forces can steal that, it's like super unlikely. They're never going to steal this. It's too close to the UKF base. Okay, don't worry about that. Oh no, the Ostwind gets up on top of the other quarter-pounder. We cannot be losing these hex-pounder guns. Panzer IV comes rolling through the base, looking to get into the rear armor or find an easy squad to wipe. Ostwind here, playing run around the line of sight blocker, gets taken out. Nice work on the Cromwell there, but here comes the Panzer IV straight into the rear armor of the UKF medium. Both of the quarter pounders are just out of position and or flustered right now, so this is a really dangerous time in this game. Panzer Shrek is on these Stormtroopers. Donk. Now the Cromwell is on a one-hit. Hex Pounder gets set up in a nice place to start putting some damage on the Panzer IV, but this is breaking point now for FK9DD, as there are wounded squads, and there's no anti-tank resources here, and there's nothing to be done here. FK9DD getting his Skeletron is killing in his base, killing his dudes, and as we all know, that is a bad place to be in a video game. So let's keep an eye on this Cromwell, which is just still juking and jiving out here. He needs to... Okay, is there a Panzer... Whoa, we got the breakdancing Tommy of Doom here. And now, okay, so the Cromwell comes through, gets smashed by the Panzer. That's probably game. Ah, nice. Nicely done. Okay. Wow, Skeletron taking a game in rapid fashion, making German infantry doctrine look amazing. This was the exact game that I wanted to see. FK9DD is actually staying in this. Don't you just die? You are dead, man. There's another Panzer IV coming. Oh no. I mean, this is about as over as it gets. I mean, he's managed to re-grab one of his AT guns somehow. His bloody Vickers gun is facing the wrong way. So he's probably going to kill this Panzer IV. He should be able to kill that Panzer IV. Donk. So he gets one more shot onto the Panzer IV, and that should do it. Hex Pounder AT guns reload pretty quick. There we go. So he gets that one. All right. But I mean, how... Victory from this position seems very unlikely, but I mean, he did kill one of the Panzer IVs. Here comes the other one. I mean, he is still technically holding 1 VP, and this fuel is not connected, so it's pretty bad right now. He lost so many infantry squads there, but you know, so did Skeletron, losing one of the Stormtrooper squads, one of the Grenadier squads in that last phase of play. So actually, the real imbalance in this game is mostly just the Panzer IV. And whilst that is finding value on the map, there is 2 quarter pounders again, 2 hex pounders. And... Alright, I might have been slightly premature when I said that this game is just over. I just kind of saw like a Panzer IV driving around the UKF base and no AT resources, and I was just like, right, FK9, you can probably leave this game, but... He seems to have been right not to, because this roster is now substantially shored up. I don't think the Axis player can just bully FK9 out of the game now. He manages to re-establish his cutoff, doesn't have fuel right now, and the Axis player, to say the Axis player has had the lion's share of resource income and victory point control this game is to state the blindingly obvious, but that is the case. So Skeletron here will probably be able to get Battle Phase 3. I'm amazed that he's not going for it, actually, because you could just be so far ahead if you went for that. That would be so nice. A landing field officer, no, what's he called? Assault officer, though. Up to 3 stars of veterancy and very much kicking ass taking names. Benefits from the 5-man squad upgrade. This I did not know. So, I mean, that's nice. He's going to try and get a grenade onto the MG here. I assume that that's what this is about, no? Okay. God, taking a lot of damage at the hands of that MG, but we'll get the veteran officer out of there. Manages to get some British boots back onto fuel. Oh, this Vickers gun is duffed up. Going to benefit from the medkits off these Tommies greatly. Another Vickers gun getting added in. That's sensible stuff. FK9DD forced to play a budget composition here. Not really had the best of fuel or munitions income. So we're going to have to see a lot of reliance on manpower-based units. This is such a tight noose. He's actually destroyed the base MG, so this is so desperate for FK9. 3rd Panzer IV is going to be rolling out here in a second. Rifle grenade coming through. Tommy's going to fall back just in the nick of time. I mean, FK9DD getting momentarily off the clock here. That is material benefit. Oh dear, this Panzer IV is going to crush any UKF forces attempting to leave the base from this axis, from this entrance. Whoa, we have to pull these guys back, bro. What are we doing here? No. Oh god. Well, he gets the anti-vehicle grenade on, but he loses a squad of Royal Engineers, so that definitely not worth it. Yikes. Oh man, this is a rough opening, man. Skeletron is leaning in so hard. There's definitely a timeline where Double D can stabilize from it. Actually, Double D loses another squad in that last phase of play. What did he lose? Oh, the MG42.
Enemy causing trouble, trying to take one of our points.
I don't know where that MG is, to be honest. Is he? Oh, here it is. So, can re-grab the MG42.
Our supply line's broken.
And there's just a lot going on that's bad for Double D. Panzers are pushing both entrances of the base. Oh god, he's going to lose the air landing field officer, maybe? No, he gets out of there. The assault officer. Ugh. Crippling blows being dealt by Skeletron against Double D here. Yeah, Double D's seen enough. Wow. Wow. Okay, Skeletron, I see the value of this commander now. You could not have done those things without this commander. That was cool. So perhaps people are leaving this commander on the roster because on small maps against UKF, you can really make the UKF player regret their faction choice, can't you? Like, jeez. Yeah, I mean, UKF are a faction that's balanced around having quite a strong late game, and they don't have as good of an early game as the other allied factions, for sure. And so exploiting that weakness, Skeletron in that game, that's a great choice, isn't it? So cool. All right, well, let's see what else we've got going on. We've got some Korean and Polish Troll, and we've got Skeletron and Fatherland. Oh, a Nexus game. Oh, well, I'm inclined to watch that one then. Great. Okay, I'm just going to go and grab some water. I'll be back momentarily. Alrighty. Oh, that was just in the nick of time, wasn't it? Okie dokie. So, the map here is going to be Nexus. Spawning in the east, it's going to be Skeletron, who's coming in with some good momentum, having just taken a rather handy win against FK9DD's UKF forces. And spawning in the west, it's going to be the Soviet forces of Fatherland in a slightly sort of unusual twist. And amazingly enough, beautifully enough, thanks to the amazingness of this game, we have inverse HUD. So the Soviet stuff will be appearing on the right, despite the fact that this player spawning in the west. And the Axis stuff will be appearing on the left of the HUD, despite this player spawning in the east. So Skeletron is going to go ahead and pick straight away the Strategic Reserves Doctrine. Now, clearly this is an adaptation to the fact that we're now on a large map, we're now against a different faction. And I gotta say, Skeletron's instinct regarding what sort of tactics and strategies and commanders to pick to adapt to his opponent and the map appear to be on point, based on a sample of one in that last game. And I am inclined to believe this looks really good for this map. Like, Tiger Ace in the late game is great. This is probably a great map for that unit as well. And the mobile observation posts could be really useful. This is a slightly larger map. There are more open areas in the middle of the map where those mobile observation posts could well be good. Panzer IV ASF-J could be useful. Assault Grenadiers, I think... I mean, he's actually leaning in for 2 squads of them. So I was about to say, I don't think that they're going to be great, but... Skeletron disagrees, and at the moment I'm inclined to take his opinion. So let's see what he's going to make happen with these Assault Grenadiers. He's got an MG42 backing him up. And, I mean, clearly we've seen that his micro with aggressive infantry squads is pretty on point. Yeah, he had a high mortality rate on those squads, but he also achieved gruesome results on his opponent in that last game. So, okay, immediately Sprint comes down, Machine Gun gets the pin, and those conscripts, see you later, bro. No, get off. This is my map. Okay, so, looks like we've got a techless opening so far from Fatherland. 3 squads of conscripts. The only purchases so far. Assault Grenadiers will be able to bully them around to a fair extent. Looks like we've got the Shock Rifle Geezer here. So that's an IS-2 commander which gets anti-tank gun ambush tactics and the KV-8 and the incendiary artillery barrage. In fact, everything except shock troops there looks like it's really good for this map. Oh god, these conscripts are so low. How come we're falling back so late, man? Whoa, these are Assault Grenadiers. You've got to respect them. He gets away with it, but I feel like that was a bit lucky. Conscripts down here also just getting rocked by Axis units. So yeah, I mean, definitely Skeletron taking some nice opening engagements here. But I mean, it's easy to take nice opening engagements against conscripts with MGs and Assault Grenadiers. So, you know, that's just the ABCs of Company of Hero 2 just manifesting here. So Fatherland also running with, so he's running shock rifle, which I think is great. Running Soviet Airborne. Now remember, this guy basically had a pretty hard nerf insofar as the cost of the weapon crate drop went up by a lot. It went from, I think, 45 to 60 munitions. Now, that is definitely game-changing. That has massive ramifications for the way the commander plays in the early stages of the game, which was one of his biggest strengths. So, and I'm not saying that that nerf wasn't needed. I think probably the commander feels a lot more balanced now. And that's okay, but it is just, you know, it is just different. And I don't think that this is the strongest map for Soviet Airborne, though I could be wrong. And we are seeing a conscript-based techless opening, which may be a sign that he's looking to call in SVD crates as the game goes on. Now, then we've got the urban defense tactics. So we saw, who was it? It was just yesterday we saw a Soviet player using this commander on this map. God damn it, name already evades me. Yeah, so this commander definitely can do some work on this map. The KV-2 is like totally acceptable on this map. It's not great, but it's definitely, you can find a lot of value, and we did see that yesterday. And booby trap territory is totally acceptable and a real help in the late game. And yeah, so that's also a fine commander. We'll have to see what Fatherland opts to go with as this game moves on. For now, leaving themselves the choice open on what commander they're going to roll. Man, these conscripts are having a rough old game. Jesus, we're just getting cut down in front of an MG here. We should probably fall back. Fatherland. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. So Skeletron still just being very aggressive here. Aggressive tactics appear to be Skeletron's favoured. Wait, 3 squads of Assault Grenadiers. I don't know. I just don't know when players do this. Like, I'm sure this isn't good. Because Assault Grenadiers, just they are really expensive. They're like 250 manpower? 280 manpower, Jesus. And they don't really scale very well. Like, once the early game is over, I just think Assault Grenadiers are kind of terrible. And, you know, it's not like you can research weapon racks and start putting LMG-42s or Bren guns on them or whatever, you know? They're stuck with these MP-40s for the rest of the game. And, like, I don't know. Once your opponent has machine guns or, like, vehicles or, you know, they don't even get Panzerfausts, so I am skeptical about leaning in for 3 squads of these guys. I think that they work really well in tandem with Grenadiers in, like, a 1-to-1 ratio at most. But 3 squads is like, eesh. But okay, sure. You know, we've got a 250 half-track coming out, so remember, synergy with the mobile observation post ability here. So, capable of camouflaging themselves and acting... Okay, so do you have to actually press a button to do this? I guess they just do it if they're standing still, if they're not moving, so okay, cool. He's going to go for the flame projector upgrade on that, so we're going to have a very high damage mobile unit here, and I suppose that synergizes nicely with the sort of shock nature of Skeletron's army right now, which is all about mobility and damage. So that's cool. Flame projector is going to finish right here. There's a conscript squad falling back here, so just going to lean on in for some good old burning times here. This could be a squad wipe. Where's the defense? Okay, so the defenses are here. But this half-track, I mean, whoa. Okay, Skeletron is just a player who loves driving stuff into his opponent's base to look for squad wipes, isn't he? And like, oh god, anti-vehicle grenades are not even started. Okay, thank god. So he's able to immediately click on urban defense tactics, and he is able to summon an M42 AT gun as a measure to not die here. Oh, goodness me. So, okay, that flame half-track definitely not worth it in the end. Didn't get a squad wipe. Burned a few conscripts, but that's not a lot of value for your half-track plus flame projector upgrade. So, essentially, urban defense tactics saves the day to a substantial extent here for Fatherland. That was a pretty clutch M42 AT gun. So, okay, Skeletron, I appreciate the tactics I'm seeing from you, though. It's nice to see someone who has such an aggressive style in this game. I'm minded of sort of Von Ivan. You know, these are Von Ivan-like aggression type moves. Okay, gets a squad wipe on some Assault Grenadiers. Wow. Now Skeletron looks like he's in a really bad place, because we've got, like, 2 squads of Assault Grenadiers and an MG42, essentially, against 4 squads of conscripts. Like, woof. Okay, that's nasty. This is enough conscripts now that you can basically hold off these Assault Grenadiers, because there's no way the Assault Grenadiers can approach without just running into way too many rifles. Yeah, see, look, these conscripts are going to kite back. There's just a wall of conscript rifles here. He should be moving these units in to form a concave around these units. Just that's the way you want this to be working. Grenade barrage comes through to disrupt the rifle fire. I mean, if he was actually moving in with these units, this would have been great. Even as it is, it's still fine. Still going to handily take this engagement. Skeletron stacking manpower here. What are we going for? So he actually has a Light the Mechanized Company, of course, because he had that 250 half-track, 251 half-track. So we are stacking a lot of manpower here as Skeletron. I feel like a squad would have been optimal. Like, just a Grenadier squad would probably be... Oh, he can't build Grenadiers. Of course, he's skipped Infantry Company. He's going to go for Panzergrens. Alright, you basically die to the T-70, though. Like... Although the T-70, we're not actually there on the fuel. The fuel will not be ready when the Tank V Battalion Command finishes, so... Might not be that over. He can build a pack gun in this game, unlike the last game. So, okay. Skeletron definitely in a rough place, though, right now. Trailing by, like, 93 victory points. Has had substantial squad wipes inflicted on them. Lost the 250 half-track for a pretty bad trade, pretty bad amount of value. I would love to see the Soviet player, here we go, yeah, challenge the fuel, go for double fuel, just to really cement your advantage in this game. Panzer Grenadiers might well be able to deal with these conscripts though, because they're going to come around this line of sight blocker. That's a bundle grenade. Nice bundle grenade. Oh my god. That could well be a squad wipe. That should be a squad wipe. Oh my god, Panzer Grenadiers are cool. There we go. He does get it. Okay, so yeah, Panzer Grenadiers defend the fuel, get a squad wipe. That's pretty cool. T-70 on the queue. That one's going to finish up in a second here. Now the Panzer Grenadiers need to turn tail. They're just trading out for value, but it's not going to be enough to be worthwhile. Wow. What a game, eh? Okay. I mean, with that squad wipe on the conscripts, this is feeling increasingly open. Going to be another Ostwind here for Skeletron. Alright. Skeletron just really likes these momentum-based playstyles. Okay, I didn't realize that Assault Grenadiers could actually go up to 6 men when they take the squad leader upgrade. I just didn't really... I wasn't really cognizant of that, so... These Assault Grenadiers are going to get a second lease on life by virtue of having a little bit of extra HP and damage. But here's the T-70, and there's no answer right now. The Ostwind isn't out, so the T-70 just wins right now. There is nothing that can harm it. There's not even Panzerfausts in this army. And we're a ways away. Actually, 90 is the cost of... No, it isn't 90. Sorry, it's 100 for the Panzerschrecks. So we could get Panzerschrecks on the Panzer Grenadiers. Probably that's... It just sacrifices too much of their anti-infantry firepower. So here comes the Ostwind. This T-70 came way far in, so it actually might just die to the Ostwind here. I don't know. It's going to get chased quite hard here. Okay, I overestimated the ability of the Ostwind to chase the T-70. I forgot just how fast T-70s are, even in reverse, to be honest. Is he coming back in? Oh yeah, because he's got the M42 AT gun here, so now he actually wants a piece of this Ostwind. So this is feeding a bit of veterancy onto the M42, which is nice to get. Remember, that thing gets the penetration increase at veterancy 3, which actually makes it a reasonable AT gun even against more armoured targets like the Panther. Now, if Fatherland was paying attention, they should know that it's going to be Strategic Reserves Doctrine. And having that in mind, Fatherland should know that they will be required to have a plan to deal with a Tiger race if the game gets to that point, and it probably will. So... just got to have that in the back of your mind here as Fatherland. The fact that actually M42 AT guns probably not going to be enough. Great. Okay, yeah. Support Armor Campanile was the tech of choice. Cool. So we will have access to the full fat Zis gun.
Shock troops have arrived.
And shock troops, as you just heard, are now arriving. Players seem to really like shock troops on this map. Who am I to argue? Seem to have been doing okay. Anti-vehicle grenades connecting onto the Ostwind, the M42 AT gun chipping in likewise. T-70 also here in the hood to police back this infantry. And another Axis advance will be pushed away here. Ostwind is getting a nice pursuit onto an exposed infantry squad. Panzer IV is going to be the next fuel spending unit of choice for Skeletron. As these two players build up into a mid-game here. It's going to be an Su-76. Wow, this I did not see coming. Nobody uses these anymore. Haven't you heard, bro? They're not very good. No, I mean, I say that in jest, you know. I think the popularly held belief is that Su-76s are not very good in the meta right now. And that may be accurate, but that doesn't mean that the unit isn't without utility. That doesn't mean the unit cannot do powerful things in the right circumstances. So... oh my god, those conscripts! Why are we not falling them back? Bro! Late on the fallback there. That Ostwind is not going to be able to pursue, but that is just as well, because they would have died horribly. Whew. That's the sound of PPSHs. Oh yeah, I'll see your Assault Grenadiers, and I raise you Shock Troops. How about that? How about that? I'll see you outside. Nice. Nice. Shock Troops for Mother Russia. Is this a squad wipe? Oh, too much vodka in the officer's mess last night, lads. Couldn't quite get that last shot to connect. But shock troops are already out on the field, finding value, throwing grenades, taking names, coming up for their first star of veterancy. Panzerschrecks are up on the Panzer Grenadiers, and here comes the Panzer IV. That T-70 ought to be dead, caught in a rather nasty spit roast between two Axis mediums. The AT gun is also caught, actually, so where's the Su-76 in all this? It is taking shots, okay, good. The engine gets broken on the Panzer IV, so that one now stricken. The AT gun gets taken out, but now the Su-76 can stalk. Panzer Grenadiers are going to screen the Su-76 away from the Panzer IV to save its life. The T-70 could lean into these Panzer Grenadiers for some damage here, actually. And conscripts also should just be taking shots, because if we can get these guys out of the way, the Panzer IV is stricken. So T-70 right now just taking care of an MG. High explosive mode is used on the Su-76, but at a pretty inopportune moment. How much does that cost now? 35 munitions. Conscripts might be able to break the engine here. T-70 gets taken out. I didn't actually see by what. Was that by incendiary rounds? Jesus. And this Panzer Grenadier getting a bit low. Shock troops are going to come out to cover. The Ostwind goes down, I believe, to the Su-76? Yeah. The Panzer IV still scurrying away. So, okay, a lot of value shed by both players there. Hemorrhaging a lot of losses there. So the T-70 died, the Ostwind died, the M42 AT gun died. Yeah. So when the dust settles, I feel like that is essentially a good trade for the Allied player, because you took out an Axis medium, which represents quite a lot of fuel spending, for an M1 anti-tank gun and a T-70. Yeah, you know what, that is actually probably about an even trade, yeah. I don't feel like either player getting too much value advantage out of that. Maxim guns are going to start getting added in, and I like that. That would have been my one criticism of Soviet player of yesterday, was that they didn't really go for Maxim guns, and I feel like this is just a good map for MGs. There's so much open area. The map almost always comes down to controlling VPs, and Maxim guns just thrive under those circumstances. They're just a really good squad. Maxim guns are great. So yeah, here comes a Maxim. Su-76 coming up for its second star of veterancy, looking pretty smart, I gotta say, and at the second star of veterancy it gets improved damage and accuracy, so gonna be a bit of a bruiser. That is now active, so yeah, putting big holes in this Panzer IV. Flamethrowers, MP40s and STGs blazing away at this allied infantry, but there's just kind of too many conscripts on the dance floor. Bundaroo grenade coming down in a lovely place though, yikes. That one finds a stack of value. Oh no, you can't be losing the Maxim gun. Oh god. Donating this Maxim gun would be terrible right now. The Panzer Grenadiers just leaning in. They really want to do some damage here. They're just buying time for some Assault Grenadiers to get in position or what? No. Okay, so the Soviet player gets the Maxim gun back. Run away now. Run away. And, wow, these two conscripts are going to stick in the fight. Are we sure about this? Just a decap mid. Fair enough. That's a bit risky though, but sure. And now, okay, Panzer IV is going to roll forward. That means that the Su-76 will probably come to respond. Another M42 AT gun appears. I believe this is just a brand new one, not a recrew, because I think it actually got destroyed in the last fight. The actual hardware got destroyed. So, respending on that. How much are they? Like 240. Yeah, such a reasonable cost for a 6-man light AT gun, which comes with ambush tactics, which comes with this load. The high explosive canister I've not seen. That's a toggle. Holy sh! I thought that was a munitions ability. That is just a toggle, so it just has an anti-infantry mode. Holy s... Alright, I'm starting to like this commander more and more. The more I sort of appreciate exactly what he's offering. You get so much utility out of all these things. The only one that we've not actually seen really used is the forward HQ, so I would be interested to see that. The drawback with this always before was that you could use it and it was quite a strong ability, but you could never repair the building that you used it on, so it would basically always just get flattened in no time by your Axis opponent, and like, just was never worth it from that point of view. I assume that this has not been addressed because, you know, I haven't seen any players using this ability, so that might well be why. Conscripts get up behind this this is MG42, so that's nice. Molotovs just were never done, and they're probably never going to be done, but at least they can harass this thing down, getting themselves the 3rd star of veterancy as they do, so that's nice. Push the MG off of the victory point before it can fall into Axis hands as well. Nice sort of 220 point lead right now for the Soviet player, as you pretty much expect to see. Panzer IV comes in, and these conscripts are low though, so this could definitely be a squad wipe. No support in the hood. Actually, I take it back. M42 gun in the hood, but it's being blocked off by a line of sight blocker. Su-76 actually coming into the same place. That's a mistake. Okay, so now he has a nice ambush set up where this Panzer IV is in a nasty way. Bring the Su-76 around here, I think. Okay, taking some side armor shots onto the Panzer IV. The Su-76 needs to be in this fight. Why is he trying to shoot through here? You're never going to get a shot through there, bro. So there we go. So we've got a Zis gun and an M42, making use of all the calibers of Soviet AT gun in this battle here as Fatherland. And I feel like Fatherland's position in this game right now is really nice. You've got the scoreline advantage, and that's the most important advantage that you have right now. That means that you have time if your opponent somehow gets the upper hand, and it means that you are applying substantial amounts of pressure on your opponent to control the victory points, or else things are going to start looking really bad as this game goes on. The composition is pretty nice. Like, you have your opponent's medium. You've bled out a lot of fuel from your opponent's composition. You've got good AT resources. I'm going to go ahead and say I really like the Su-76. From what I've seen so far, this seems to be just an affordable unit that deals with Axis medium armor in a very real way and has some other utility. I don't think you can really ask for more from the money for a Soviet unit. 75 fuel, 280 manpower. This has been great. And if it continues to be great, then, I mean, all the more power to Fatherland. The infantry roster is okay. He definitely needs some more core infantry. Another squad of conscripts would be great, or another Maxim gun, because they are kind of loosely analogous to core infantry, being 6-man, having a few rifles, being able to absorb some fire and not sweat it too much. Those are things that we look for. So, yeah, I could go for... I think another Maxim gun would make me the happiest, or another squad of conscripts would also be just fine. But, you know, between the Maxim gun and the shock troops, so it is going to be a second Maxim gun. I think that's the smartest thing to do here. Yeah, so I like the composition right now from Fatherland, and we are saving up fuel. We're getting into a position now where we can build the mechanized armor Campanile, which actually that hasn't come down yet. So, but once that comes down, we can start thinking about, is this a game that we want an Su-85 first, or a Katusha first, or a KV-2 first? I think those are the 3 heads of consideration to be thinking about here for Fatherland. Most likely it's going to be the KV-2. We're already floating quite a lot of fuel, so if we can just get up the manpower to spend that in a timely fashion, then, you know, the KV-2 does represent the most sort of spectacular use of your resources, if you like. I'm not always convinced that it's the best thing to do with your resources when players are calling it in, but it is always fun to press your heavy tank button and get that unit on the battlefield. It does send a message to your opponent, and it does put them on notice. Shock troops rampaging through here, going to get some good damage on Panzer Grenadiers. Then they're going to throw, what is this, grenade? Yep. And now that's a lot of 3-star assault grenadiers. I don't think you can stand and trade here. What are we doing? No, no, no. Now that I know assault grenadiers can get up to a 6th man. I don't know, they're just kind of okay, aren't they? A second squad of shock troops. Well, alrighty then. Fair enough. Alright, so we're at Tiger Ace money now. So Tiger Ace is going to be here in a second. And so the button's lit, there it is. And this actually makes me a little bit worried for Fatherland, because I actually feel like the preparations for Tiger Ace are not quite there yet. We've got a Zis gun and we've got a Su-76, and I think actually perhaps it's going to be a good thing that he's going to see the Tiger Ace before he has the manpower to buy a KV-2, and that may tilt his decision to go for an Su-85. And I feel like that's got to be the right choice here. He actually just doesn't have mechanized armor Campanile yet. Am I missing this? No. Okay, well he needs the... does he have engineers? Yeah, he does have engineers alive. That's a Panzer IV as well, actually. Sorry, I didn't see that. Oh yeah, sorry. No, that's the Panzer IV he's had all along. Okay, sorry. Oh no, the Su-76 gets caught out, and the Zis gun. Well, this is really good for Skeletron. Oh no. Well, now the AT gun will be next on the chopping block. Tiger Tank just inflicting gruesome damage here. He's going to lose all his AT units. This is like the perfect fight for Skeletron. He takes out all 3 of the AT units in one fight. Oh no, this could not have gone more terribly for Fatherland. Oh god. I mean, this is terrible. Fatherland's kind of dead in the water now. Is mechanized armor Campanile coming? Oh god. He's just going to start losing all of his infantry now. Holy Oh god. This is woe. Oh man, it all just flips around there. Is he going to get some crush on all these units? That would be horrendous. Oh no, he's going to go for an SU-76. I mean, okay. I think this might actually just be game, because, I mean, like, you cannot actually deal right now with the Tiger Race that's parked in your base, attacking your dudes in the face. And that's a problem. Yeah. I mean, this kind of looks over. Even the SC-76 can just get pounced on and killed. Okay, so he manages to push away the Tiger with conscripts for now. Yeah. It's back again. So here comes the SC-76. So two grenades, but the health was actually still not low enough, so the engine not donked on the Tiger. You have to pull back. Oh, careful, bro. The engine not donked on the Tiger. So now it will fall back. Here comes some Panzer Grenadiers to help deal with the SC-76. What? Are we not targeting vehicle, bro? I don't know about wasting shots into the Panzer Gren there, but anyway. And the map has fallen into Axis hands substantially. Some shock troops are still on the map, Jesus. But wow, how the texture of this game has changed since that Tiger Ace just appeared and then in one fight just took out all of the AT weapons that Fatherland had. I mean, that's pain. So, I mean, he desperately needs to accumulate anti-tank resources here. What? Blows my mind that he's still not managed to get the mechanized armor Campanile, because he's got the fuel for an SU-85. So with a bit of saving, an SU-85 digs him out of this. With that, you can actually manage the Tiger and the Panzer IV as long as you look after it. Okay, gets the engine on the Tiger. That is not nothing. Where's the Panzer IV though? Because if that loops around and gets the SU-76, yeah, here we go. Actually, it's going to reveal itself, so at least Fatherland will know it's coming. Okay, the SU-76 just manages to die to the Tiger. I presume because Fatherland was distracted, yeah, and that's game. Just wow, Skeletron just delivering a shattering blow to Fatherland. Who, to be fair, I think Fatherland had managed the game to a really great point and did not. Like, if you just take into account the compositions and the game up until that point when the Tiger Ace came out, I actually think Fatherland was in a fine position and had the resources even to start dealing with the Tiger Ace. Like, did not have enough. I said earlier on in the game, like, you know your opponent is on the Tiger Ace commander, so you need to start making preparations. And he had one Zis gun, one M42 light AT gun, and an SU-76. I don't actually think that's enough. I think you need, as a bare minimum, like, probably 2 Zis guns on the SU-76, or an SU-85. That will also do. So he didn't have those things, but even with just the SU-76 and the Zis gun and the M42 AT gun, under normal circumstances, you could use those to hold off the Tiger Ace and hold off the Panzer IV and just cling to map control for a little bit whilst you throw down your mechanized armor Campanile and get an SU-85, probably while also building another Zis gun. And then you're just fine. Like, once the SU-85 arrives, you are okay, because you can just push the Tiger Ace back and bully it around and put veterancy on the SU-85 very quickly, and then just get back to controlling the map and making the game the Axis player's problem. Just being like, okay, well, you have to engage into me now. Like, okay, you can have a Tiger Ace and whatever else you want, but you have to engage into an SU-85 with support, and that's like, good luck. So, yeah, but hey, we're going to watch this one for sure. But wow, we've got some great players out on the ladder today. I don't know what's going on, but there's some nice names. But yeah, as I said, just the way that first fight came together, like the Tiger Ace announced itself into a fight where all of the AT guns were there and kind of pointing the wrong way to deal with the Panzer IV and stuff. So the SU-76, the Zis gun, and the M42 AT gun just died in like 15 seconds or so without really substantially putting in any real damage onto the Axis armor. And then it's like, well, so then the Tiger tank can just kill you. And it did. And that's the timeline we live in. Okay, so it looks like we've got about 4 minutes till the start of this game. What I'm going to do is go and maybe stick the kettle on, make myself a cup of tea, and just give my voice a bit of a rest. And because I'm just a super unprofessional, like pretty bad dude at casting and YouTube and all this stuff, I'm just going to leave it rolling because, like I say before, I actually don't have any video editing software that I like for video editing at the moment. I used to have some, but it was on a temporary license and that expired, and I ain't paying money for this stuff. The only video editing software I have now is it dramatically decreases the video quality, and I'm not happy with doing that, so I'm just going to leave this to roll. So if you want to skip forward 3 minutes on the YouTube channel, it's either that or sit here and listen to the sweet sound of silence. It is up to you. I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea, and I will be back in time to cast this game. Okay, hey guys, welcome back. Unfortunately, my kettle literally only just finished, so as these two players move out onto the map, I'm just going to go and make my cup of tea, and I will be back. It'll be about 30 seconds, for which I apologise.
Enemy is alerted to our presence. Wagen ready. Grenadier, ready for action.
Alrighty then. Okay, sorry about the delay. I was just in the kitchen making that cup of tea, which is now sat beside me. Okay, so, spawning in the south, playing as the OKW forces. It's going to be some kanji. So, I believe this is the Akuashi and various kanji that I can't read because learning kanji is really difficult. This is going to be the kanji who I believe is supposedly supposed to be the real Panzergrenadier Angreifen, is what I'm told. And Panzergrenadier Angreifen is actually supposed to be a Chinese player, I think, I was told, who has just been using this tag. And I don't know if these guys are friends because we always see them playing. But yeah, apparently, so this is actually really real Panzergrenadier Angreifen, who I'm still going to call kanji. And this is apparently some Chinese player who's really good. Like, we've seen great games between these two, who I'm going to call Panzergrenadier Angreifen. So, looks like we've got, yeah, so Panzergrenadier Angreifen spawning in the south, some Chinese player playing as Panzergrenadier Angreifen, playing as USF on the north. Map's going to be Langorskaya. We're in for a good old extended violent affair. It's what usually happens on this map. Looks like we've got Overwatch Doctrine from kanji. Interesting. And from PGA we've got it's going to be the WC51 vehicle guy mechanized company. That's what you call it. So WC51 is actually already out. 50 cal upgrade coming down on it now. Pardon me. Sorry, it's terribly rude. And yeah, let's get settled on in. It's going to be a good one. This is the second time in 2 days, I think. Or, yeah, I think it's the second time in 2 days that we've seen a player use the Overwatch Doctrine. Now, last time we didn't see the player use a single thing out of that Overwatch Doctrine, except for perhaps arguably the extended scouting, where is it? Early warning system on the deployed trucks. So, I hope that we see something else from this commander. I mean, I hope that we see some Goliaths, man. I love Goliaths. They are sick. Lieutenant Tech here going to be the tech of choice for PGA. So yeah, looking forward to seeing hopefully some Goliath hits or just like some other stuff used from this commander, because like we just didn't really get to see anything when it was used on the channel the last couple of times, I think. Sort of weird commander to choose so early, but I suppose you want access to those Jaeger lights. So, Kettenwerfer is getting mixed into the roster at slightly earlier than usual juncture here. That, of course, an adaptation to the mechanized regiment or the mechanized company that the USF player is using. 3 squads Volks, nothing to write home about. Kugelwagen also out, but that thing does have a hard life when there's a WC-51 out there patrolling around. Times are tough. My Kubel needs a buff. Riflemen getting flushed out of the pocket over here. They were harassing fuel, but it looks like kanji will be able to defend that substantially. Here comes Kettenwerfer. Yep, sorry, I'm a little bit quiet. I'm just kind of cooling on my tea down while I watch these opening scuffles. There's nothing super noteworthy occurring on the field right now. We've got the cavalry riflemen special unit called in from the mechanized company. They're on the field now. 5-man squad going to be upgrading with Tommy guns here momentarily. Going to look to push some damage at close range onto these Axis infantry. Schwerpanzer, Schwerwehrmacht Schlepper is out, and it's going to be a Battle Gripper opening. You know what? Since the last patch, we have seen Battle Gripper openings be, like, really popular. Like, I think it's safe to say, based on the small sample of games that I've cast, this is the new meta. And I realise that's a bold statement based on, like, 5 or 6 or 7 games or whatever it is that I've cast, but, like, it's just what I'm seeing. And, I mean, it makes sense. You get medics. Those are really, really valuable. You get the light gun, which actually seems to be a solid early pick, especially on a small map like Langorskaya, where it's going to be firing continuously. and where that smoke is always going to be in range of something good. So, yep. Increasingly, we're seeing Battle Group at HQ being what OKW players are relying on in the early game, and I'm okay with this. We even saw a flak half-track get to 5 stars yesterday on the channel. So, yeah, what's not to love, basically. And it's going to be a flak half-track opener. Sweet, man. Battle Group at HQ, yeah. Okay, I mean, I've always been a Battle Group at HQ guy. Like, if you look at my play history in the game as like some numbers, as statistics, definitely my most played faction has got to be OKW. Like I like all the factions in the game, but I have always just played a lot of OKW. I don't know, I just like them. And I have always I reckon of my OKW games, I'm probably like a 70-30 battle gripper mechanized reg guy, something like that, maybe even 75-25. Like I have always liked the Battle Gripper opening, and that's because of a lot of things over the lifetime of OKW and over the years of Company of Heroes 2 being out. But I like the ability to have medics out, and also in a lot of games I go for like cheesy forward position stuff because I'm not a very good player, so I can do stuff like that and actually make it work because the people I play against aren't very good. Nice squad wipe there on those riflemen. So yeah, I've been a Battle Gripper HQ guy mostly, and the flak half track is just in the best place I've ever seen it. It's in a great place right now, and the Ligue is also in the best place I've ever seen it right now. So it seems to be a great time to be a sort of Battle Gripper HQ sort of. If you are happy building that first and making a living off of those units, which I always have been, then this seems to be a great time to be alive. So that's nice. Looks like the back of the USF advance gets broken here. They're going to have to fall back to repair, rearm, reinforce. There are some rear esh harassing a fuel point over at the side of the map here. But
Our supply line just got cut off.
but they're going to get shoved away by the flak half track. Stewart comes onto the field here, and that will help the USF address the balance of power on the map.
Rifle squad ready for action.
There's another cavalry squad going to get called in. Okay, so there's the Stewart.
Running one of our capture points.
Kettenwerfer already in position, actually, scores a lovely hit.
Now ready.
And the American light tank has to respect the Kettenwerfer there. Flak half track going to get set up in the middle of the map. Just looking for shots on this lieutenant.
Target that infantry.
Going to find a couple here. WC-51 comes for a poke down the left flank, but there are Volks and Storm Pioneers here, so can't get too much done. Cavalry Riflemen with Tommies are loaded up in that, so watch for that to try and overrun for squad wipes on retreating squads or sweep in for damage on exposed units. Speaking of which, looks like it's going to come sweeping in here and get up on top of the Kettenwerfer. Smoke here getting popped on the flak half track because he doesn't want to get tagged by that. Oh no, is that a kill? Yeah, that basically is a kill, isn't it? So the Stewart will take care of the flak half track, and that's like really nice, man. So obviously we saw a combination of things from the wow. Okay, that's game. Apparently. Jesus. Wow. Okay. Well, so, I mean, clearly what we saw there was the WC-51 being used to ferry in a squad of cavalry riflemen who were upgraded with Tommy guns, and then they put down the anti-vehicle satchel charge onto the flak half-track to complete the kill. The Stewart came in to get the final hit. Nice. That apparently is enough. Kanji, who may very well be the real Panzer Grenadier and Griffin, just has no interest in continuing that game. Say what you like about that. It seems like FK9DD would have stayed in longer under those circumstances, but I mean, that is a pretty rough start to a game, and when the game is that young, I mean, that's the nice thing about any video game, really. You are in control of your play experience. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You don't have to play any game you don't want to play. You don't have to stick around for anything you don't want to stick around for. That's the nice thing about having video games. So we've got Luvis and Skeletron. That could be a fun one. And we've got Polish Troll and Deathcore, but that one's on Arnhem. So we're going to watch this one here, I think. Another look at Skeletron's dynamic, aggressive Axis plays here, I think, would be quite nice. This is a fun map as well, and we've got Soviets on the map, so seems like a good combination. Oh. Okay, here we go. Spawning in the east, but having the HUD on the left. Playing as the Soviet forces, it's going to be Luvis. And spawning in the west, playing as the Wehrmacht pieces with the HUD on the right, it's going to be Skeletron. And, yep, you know it, Skeletron is going to be leaning into these aggressive strats straight away. So we've seen, 2 games already from Skeletron today, and I am liking what I'm seeing. Playing a very unique take on Wehrmacht. In Game 1 against FK9DD, we saw them exploit UKF's early game weakness on Crossroad, and Skeletron just making a lot of progress with German infantry doctrine, stormtroopers, 250 half-track, veteran squad leaders, all kinds of good stuff. Finding their mark, dealing damage, and eventually destroying FK9DD's very determined UKF resistance, but still ending the game in like 20 minutes. And then we saw Skeletron take a sick game on Nexus against a Soviet player, through a fairly lucky engagement with the Tiger Tank taking out all the AT resources of his Soviet opponent. But these things do happen, and it really was on Fatherland in that game to not have all their AT resources in one place facing directions in a way that enables a Tiger Race to approach and destroy them all. So, I mean, yeah, Skeletron was lucky, but, like, your opponent it's on your opponent not to present that opportunity, and Fatherland failed that test. MG42 in a building here in North gonna push away some engineers, and we're already up to 2 squads of Assault Grenadiers, so I'm feeling like this is a build with which Skeletron feels relatively confident on these medium-sized maps with distinct regions to the map. On these maps where you can't have all your units in every fight all the time. Basically, the 3 maps where that feels like it's the case are the 3 maps that are the majority of play, and that's Crossroad, Langriskaya, and Feynman-Ville Approach. Those maps are really small, and I feel like 60% or more of the games games played in Company of Heroes 2 are on one of those maps. But the rest of the time, when we have a balanced style of map, I'm going to, balanced in inverted commas, a balanced style of map sort of design and size, well, then we can see builds, then we can see different builds emerge. We can see different sort of pace of play. We can see different texture of gameplay. And it seems that when Skeletron is faced with maps like that, or like this, I should say, Skeletron uses the Strategic Reserves Doctrine and relies on Assault Grenadiers, seemingly for better or worse, but I mean, doing better here. Seems quite confident you microing Assault Grenadiers with MG42 against conscripts. We've seen it in the previous game, we're going to see it in this game, going up to 3 squads of Assault Grenadiers, just like he did before. MG42 being the sort of anchoring point for these Assault Grenadiers to be working around on the map. A defensive bulwark, still holding up here in North. And, yeah, it's going to be so far so techless here for Luvis. Luvis going to be rolling with guard motor coordination tactics, defensive doctrine, and guy on the right. So, guy on the right being guard rifle combined arms tactics. So this guy looks like he's a KV1 guy who gets guards, conscript assault package, ML20. So just kind of a meh, sort of fairly generic Soviet commander with 5 random abilities from the pool of generic Soviet random abilities. Pardon me, as far as I can tell, I'm not super impressed with him, but I could well be wrong. Players who are better than me do things that I don't immediately understand for very good reasons all the time. So obviously, I mean, this goes without saying. This does really go without saying, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Everything I say, I'm just presenting you with my opinion, and I am telling you not to value that opinion very highly. Just because I'm the guy casting the game, you know, I really am just giving you my opinion, and I'm not even that accomplished of an RTS player, really. So, nice minds. Kind of splashing some conscripts there, a bit awkward. But yeah, I mean, everything I say really is just my thoughts. This applies to things beyond my RTS casting as well. I feel like I need a shirt with this on it. It's just like everything I say, it's just I'm just a guy. Like, really, don't worry. If you don't like what I'm saying, just speak to some other person. Like, you know, I really am just a dude. I'm super optional in anyone's life. Anyway. So a bit of a slow start to this game. I mean, it is Company of Heroes 2. This is a lot of idle units. I suppose they're being medicked. But, I mean, right now you do need some map presence. Skeletron, like, dominating the map. Defensive Doctrine here, the pick for Luvus. So, this is a commander who gives you a substantial selection of interesting units to sort of tide you through the early game. You get the light AT gun, you get the 120mm tube, you get the Dansax spicy machine gun. So that represents some access to units, enabling compositions, and enabling teching routes that you can't do with other Soviet commanders. So we'll see what Luvus decides, or how Luvus decides to navigate this one. In with a good chance of picking up a squad wipe here, nicely done, on a Grenadier squad, a Assault Grenadier squad. So that's lovely. Immediately reaches into the bag here of defensive doctrine units for a Dansax spicy machine gun, and I like that. Like, that naturally leans into countering Assault Grenadiers, and it's just a powerful machine gun to have on the field early. So, leaning into the advantages provided by this commander, good stuff. 250 half-track here, going to be the choice for Skeletron, that leaning in somewhat to the advantages of this commander. Now, we saw the Flame Projector upgrade come down in a timely manner last game. Doesn't quite have the munitions in place to grab it as early in the lifetime of the half-track this time around. 222, though, going to be bolstering this sort of mobile Wehrmacht playstyle that we're seeing here. Assault Grenadiers being backed up by light armor now. So Skeletron just with a really idiosyncratic approach to Wehrmacht play, and those are always my favourite Wehrmacht players, I gotta be honest. I have two favourite Wehrmacht kind of styles, actually. One is where you do something weird with Wehrmacht and you make them look like a different faction, and you just play them in a bizarre way. Oh no, so now we've got a broken 222 in front of a Dansack. You lose! Nice. That's nice there for Luvus. Nice to see Skeletron having a rough game for once. What was I just saying? Oh yeah. So I've got two kinds of favorite Wehrmacht players. Those who make Wehrmacht look like a different faction, who just break the mold, and they don't just rely on Grenadier MG for the first 5 minutes, and they just do different stuff. And I like those players. And then there are other players who no matter what units they're using, even if it is just the default composition, that you can just tell that they're a smooth operator. They are doing the right things with all their Wehrmacht squads, and they are always 2 or 3 minutes in anticipation of what their opponent is doing. So right when the T-70 comes out, the Pat gun or whatever it is just moving into position on the right part of the map to be able to stop it. And just you just feel like the Wehrmacht player is always knowing exactly what the Allied player is going for, and adapting nicely. And those sort of slick, smooth operator style Wehrmacht players are among my favourites as well. Panzer Grenadier and Griefin is a really good example of that style of Wehrmacht player. So the 250 half-track coming in, flame projectors are done, taking some risky times here. The M42 AT gun doesn't take prisoners and is taking some nice shots into that one. It will limp away, the engine gets busted. Incendiary grenades coming down though, off of the assault grenadiers. Is that an incendiary grenade that they get? I thought they just got a grenade assault. So why was that burning? Oh, from the flame projector half-track. Whoa, what is this? Another 222 coming out here, actually. Conscripts get the donk on that one, so these light armor are going to need some time to repair. Pioneers are here to do that, but it's going to take a while. So the Soviet player loses the AT gun, but the hardware's still here, so not really a material loss for the time being. And safe to say this game, definitely the opening stages, favouring Luvus, getting off to a bit of a scoreline advantage, and that's, sorry, scoreline deficit. Of course, yeah, actually no, field control has mostly been going Skeletron's way, that's fair to say. But Luvus here, defending nicely, takes out a 222, has wiped a squad of assault grenadiers, beats off the second 222, and the flame assault half-track, and we're building into a composition that is quite defensive and quite robust, and that seems to naturally be a good thing against the sort of aggressive but fragile strategies and tactics and units that are being favoured by Skeletron here. So Luvis here getting off to a reasonable start here, putting themselves in a good position to access the mid game in a strong stance. M1AT gun gets remanned, so this composition's super robust now. And we're going to see, is it going to be a 120mm tube, or what's going to be the next? Could be another AT gun. That actually seems like probably the best choice here for Luvis. So yeah, I mean, I apologise if the sound of me drinking my tea, it's just occurred to me, is catching on the mic. I've got a new interface coming. It's in the post as we speak, winging its way towards me. And it does have a cough button, so, or a sort of, you know, a quick mute button. For those of you who don't know, I mean, I call it a cough button. Certain people in some broadcasting circles do call it a cough button. That might be pretty antiquated language these days. But it's, you know, it's just a button that you can hold, and whilst the button is depressed, the feed from the mic is cut. So it just enables you to, like, quickly cough or clear your throat, or, you know, have a sip of drink without needing to turn off the mic and turn it back on. And for me, that's actually really worthy, because I use a proper diaphragm mic with a phantom power. So to turn that on and turn it off again actually takes quite a few seconds and produces some noticeable popping on the feed, even if I cut the gain. It's actually really weird. Something about this interface, I still get the mic pop from the phantom power coming on and off to the diaphragm mic, even if I, like, level the gain and, like, do other things. The only way I can do it would be by alt-tabbing out of this and then by, like, cutting the feed on OBS, which is doable. Actually, or I could come up with a keyboard shortcut for OBS, actually. That's super doable. You know what, that achieves the exact same thing as having a mute button without actually having a mute button. In fact, you know what, I'm pretty sure I've done that and forgotten what the button is that I've hotkeyed. So if I just look at that, I could... Alright, cool. Thinking out loud here, realising. But anyway, one of the benefits of this new interface that I've got coming is that it has a hardware cough button, which I just really like, so that's nice. So this flame projector half-track has actually been finding some value now. We're up to 2 stars of veterancy, and, you know, there's been a lot of images of Soviet men running through fields of flame. So that's tough for the Soviets. The roster now beginning to even out a little bit. 2 flamethrowers. Man, Skeletron plays such an aggro style, and I love it. He is living his best life out here. Panzer Grenadiers getting mixed into the roster, and that, of course, provides some nice mid-range support and the option of getting Panzer Shreks to help deal with armoured units such as this T-70. A lovely Axis assault here, just blistering through. Panzer Grenadiers being screened by Assault Grenadiers in a lovely formation, breaks a number of Soviet squads. They're going to have to GTFO. Now here comes the T-70, and this is the problem with this sort of composition. You just don't have any Fausts, so the T-70 really can operate with impunity until something threatens it, be that Shreks or a pack or whatever. So let's, I mean, in a second, once this action dies down, I will quickly check the tech for the Axis player, but I do believe that we do have like the Mechanized Company, so he could build, yeah, he must have, because he's got Panzergrants, right? Actually, wait, don't you just build Panzergrants from the HQ now? Yeah, you do. Sick. But he does have Light and Mechanized Company, because of course he's got the 222, the half-track. So he will have access to the pack guns if he deems it a worthy investment. I mean, you can try and kill this thing with, like... I feel like you really do need a pack gun here. Even Shreks on the Panzergrants ain't going to be enough. Yeah, he's going to build a pack gun. And actually, pretty much every Axis unit is on this screen here, except for one MG that's like still garrisoning north. So, Luvis has reached this composition, which is very difficult for Skeletron to deal with. These aggressive units, not really very good at dealing with even light armor. So, as long as Luvis doesn't present an opening where Skeletron can leverage all this high-value shock assault-style Axis infantry, doesn't enable them to actually engage nicely into his sort of relatively soft Soviet infantry. Luvis gets to dictate the terms of engagement. As long as you don't let that happen, Luvis gets to pretty much operate with impunity until there's a pack gun, which there is now. So now the T-70 has to respect the pack gun. He's going to find out about that in just a second here. Oh, wow. Coming in super deep. Sees the pack gun. What's happening here? Oh. You have to... Whoa. Oh my god, he gets so lucky. The pack gun rolls a miss on its first shot. Now the Soviet infantry... Sorry, the Axis infantry is coming out. Actually into the teeth of a Dansak, so this is some rough stuff. Oh god, Axis troopers are getting mown down here. As long as he stops these Panzergrens getting close enough to grenade him. Oh no. The pack gun being given the runaround by this T-70. The micro here from Luvas doing quite well, but here comes the Axis fast movers coming in, sweeping in from the rear. It's the 222 and the flame projector. Now they are flustering the Dansak, and that Dansak is the only thing containing all this infantry. Panzergren's getting turbo low though. Ooh, okay, he gets them out of there. That Dansak just doing so much work there, controlling so many Axis units and dealing a lot of damage, enabling the T-70 to just own the Axis army for like a good minute there, it feels like. Gross. Good star of veterancy gained on the T-70. The pack gun feeling a bit foolish, just being given the runaround by the T-70 and missing the shots that it was presented with, which is unlucky. Nothing you can do about that. But, you know, that's the timeline which we're living in now. So these Pioneers are going to actually grab this point here. That's super annoying for Luvas. He's going to have to re-grab that. But at least he already has conscripts in the hood to do that. Now, pardon me, now he's got to be really careful because this Axis infantry can just exit the base into his soft Soviet units. Ah, what are we doing? There we go. Okay, he's gonna get the fallback on that. I'd like shoot chocolate milk out my nose in shock there. Like, he needs to do a thing. Press the button, nerd. But he does. He presses the button like a nerd. So that's cool. Oh, wow. We're up to 2 Dansaks. Yeah. I like it. I like it. You know what my favorite thing about the Soviet faction is, right? I've kind of realized what it is. My favorite thing about the Soviet faction, and it's very hard to narrow this down because basically everything about Soviets is great. It's when you have a Soviet unit or a Soviet piece of hardware which is just so brutally effective against your opponent that it actually doesn't matter what they're going to do, it's still going to find value. And I think that's kind of why I love the ISU-152 so much, because like it's like, okay, Axis player, do what you like, just know that you're going to be exploding the whole time. And it's like, there's just something about that dynamic that Soviets can impose on your opponents. It makes me smile. And like the Katusha is kind of more of the same, and the way that all of their units have a way of throwing out some sort of explosion, from the demo charges on your engineers to the Zis gun barrages to the Su-76 barrages to just Soviets can always just make stuff explode for some reason, and that just can be so annoying to deal with, you know. The Soviet player is like, great, you can do what you like, Axis player, just know that you'll be exploding. And in this case, it's like, okay, Axis player, you can have great, fast-moving units and hard-hitting assault infantry. Just know that they have to operate within the constraints of 2 Dansak machine guns. It's just... I like it. And for the first time, actually, we're seeing Skeletron sort of have a bit of a tough game here. I mean, ahead in the scoreline by a good 50 tickets, and that's nice. But substantially having difficulty accessing the map and struggling for a way to answer this T-70 still. Panzer IV, though, will help will help to a large extent with that. Let's just quickly check the tech here. So, okay, Mechanized Armor Campanier has been completed for Luvas, who's only got 80 fuel right now. So we're a ways off getting a proper fuel unit into Luvas's roster here. Now, what's good on this map? I don't know. I mean, a T-34, I rarely advocate for that unit, especially on a fair battlefield. I think the T-34 is amazing if you're quite a long way ahead, or even just a bit ahead. But if the game is at parity, or if you're behind, I think T-34s are really bad. That's just how I feel about them, I suppose. So, but Luvas right now in this game, I think a T-34 could be okay, because you are kind of ahead. T-34, though, can die quickly to Pack Gun Panzer IV, so, like, you do open the door to your opponent just, like, getting a load of value all of a sudden by getting a T-34. So Pack Gun comes around to the rear of the T-70, which gives it the slip again. Might get a shot as it comes over the bridge here. Put down the Pack Gun. Yeah, he's gonna... No, he's not! My god, this T-70 is just like Neo. Just dodging everything. He is going to go for the T-34. I don't know about this. Oh, it's an House of J. That's why the outline looks a bit different, of course. So Strategic Reserves Commander here. Going to be enabling access to the more durable House of J. Interesting to note, though, I mean, not reflected in this video game, but in real life, I believe by the time they got round to the J variant of the Panzer IV, I believe the Axis war machine was so starved for resources that at this point they had to remove the motors which powered the turret traverse. So turning the turret on the House of J was actually done by hand. Like, you had to winch, not winch, you had to the crew had to turn like a wheel, a two-handle wheel. So the turret traverse speed was slow on the House of J. I think if I'm recalling me reading Wikipedia from years ago, it's just an interesting thing to note. The House of J was, in a sense, the most advanced Panzer IV they ever made, and I think it may have been the final official mark of Panzer. I don't think they ever got round to a House of H because the war ended. And the House of J was, although it was the last one they made and in some ways the most technologically advanced, it also was made with respect for the fact that they just had run out of a lot of things. So it actually just didn't have some of the cool stuff that its predecessors had. I think it had much more simple targeting optics and stuff as well. Functional targeting optics, great for the job, but just not the most advanced that Germany ever made. But the armoured skirts had proved their value, and as this Panzer IV gets taken out by a T-34, the armoured skirts had proven their value by that point in the war, and these were relatively low tech, and apparently Germany still had the steel, so the House of J did come with them out of the factory. Pack gun crew gets taken out here by conscripts rampaging through, and we're kind of back to the same dynamic that we were in before, where it's a T-70 with no real answer, and a really nice composition for Luvas against an Axis player whose infantry roster has now been substantially deteriorated. The Panzer Grenadiers have been lost. The Pack gun gets taken out again, I believe, there. So the Pack gun will surely get recrewed. Oh, wait, something's killing it. Oh, it's the M42 AT gun is actually picking down the Pack gun. Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, he's going to lose that. That's so bad, because now the T-70 just beats everything again. There's just, no answer. In the same way that Skeletron's Tiger Ace was just able to win the last game, at the moment the T-70 is, unanswered. So another Panzer IV House of J. That's going to be the hope here.
Enemy has killed a machine gun crew.
So it's 20 more fuel. I was just curious about what the fuel differential between a regular Panzer IV and the House of J was. 20 more fuel in this game. And this is a small army now. Oh god, he lost what did he lose there? Did he lose his MG at last? I think he lost his MG at last. Skeletron substantially on the ropes. This looks rough. T-70, oh no, finds the half track. Oh no. Wah wah. This is pretty bad. The Panzer IV is going to arrive just in the nick of time to save the day. I think it might actually be too late to save the flame projector half track. One more shot. Oh, he misses. That's the ticket. So now we'll see if the T-70 can actually disengage. One more hit will kill it. Oh, he's still at close range. Yeah, that'll be a dead T-70 then. Bye-bye. Okay. Killing the T-70 was kind of big because there was no answer for that T-70. So now the Panzer IV has taken that out. That's cool. But I mean, we're at Panzer IV with 3 infantry squads against a real Soviet army with a T-34 about to arrive. So I mean, you don't need me to analyze the position here. Luvas has the triple cap at last, is putting some real scoreline pressure now on Skeletron, who's falling behind in the scoreline. Skeletron struggling to control the doorstep of his base. All the symptoms here of a player who's in a totally awful way here for Skeletron. And Skeletron's shock assault tactics just didn't really find the mark against Luvas. Is that 120mm tube? Yeah. I love Soviet units, they're so cool. It's like, okay, Axis player, you can have your amazing 4-man squads. Just know that massively explosive shells with a radius large enough to, really threaten those 4-man squads are falling from the sky. Near your base. Have fun with that. I just get to roll a dice every like 5 or 6 seconds with this unit, and if I roll correctly, you will be punished. That's a fun thing to be doing. You know what? I think I might have realised, and I don't want to sound like I'm bad-mouthing Soviet players or the Soviet faction, but there is a special place in my heart sometimes for video game or gameplay mechanics, doesn't even have to be a video game, which remove skill from the game in a way that is amusing. Nice. So like they just randomly inflict devastation in a way which just like no amount of skill will play around. And I see this in Smash Brothers, in Magic the Gathering. I naturally gravitate towards these things. And I think to a certain extent it's because I actually have quite a few hobbies, and so I don't put the same amount of time into an individual hobby as a lot of players who are very serious and really good at those hobbies. So I look for weird little things that put the gameplay into a place where skill and experience don't matter so much. Like I really like identifying elements that do that and then using them. So there are certain characters you can play as in Smash Brothers where it's like you just put the game into such a weird place. Oh, the Panzer IV surviving. You just actually, Jesus Christ. Luvas losing a lot of their units there. Skeletron kind of in this again, but yeah, like there are characters you can play as in Smash Brothers, and it's just like you can totally play against someone who's better than you, but negates their game plan, so they're forced to play the game your way, and then actually your experience is more relevant than theirs, and the game is in a place that favors you at that point. And it's kind of similar in Magic the Gathering. Like I don't know if anyone out there actually really plays Magic or follows Magic, but I play a lot of Modern. That's a format in Magic, and I almost exclusively play weird decks, often relying on cards like Ensnaring Bridge and stuff like that. Cards that are like absurdly powerful in a vacuum, but which people don't really play around because they're not viable most of the time in the meta. And I exist in that tiny window where, because people aren't really respecting the power of these cards, I get to win a lot of games because I am using them, even though most people aren't, and it's generally accepted that they're not a good plan. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to play Ensnaring Bridge, and a lot of the time my opponents are just like, great, well, I can't beat that card, so you win. And it's just like, wicked, you know? Like, I didn't have as much experience at this game, but I identified a weird niche opportunity to throw the game into a direction that most people just aren't prepared for, where my experience is much more relevant, and win from there. Pretty much all my decks in Magic the Gathering do that, actually. I very rarely play like meta decks. I usually play fringe decks that do powerful things in a vacuum, which most people are unprepared for, and I don't know. That's just how I operate, I suppose. Okay, so this Panzer IV is getting off to... Sorry, I haven't been talking about the game very much. Oh, anti-tank Overwatch is doing the anti-tanking, but against a Soviet tank. That's a bit grim. Yikes, I don't think that's the tank we meant to Overwatch. Man, this Panzer IV is off to a fantastic start in life. 24 kills, 3 vehicles destroyed, nearly 3-star veterancy, essentially 3-star. Skeletron's like kind of back in this. Like a 3-star Panzer IV is no joke. M42 AT guns will not really be enough to deal with that. Unless something really bad happens to the Panzer IV. And now the Assault Grenadiers are like getting in against these units, and the MG42 is back in this annoying place, and the midline of the map has been kind of retaken by Axis forces, and like, whoa, the 120mm tube is going to be threatened here. There is a Dansak which is supporting, but we need to move the tube! Oh god, these Assault Grenadiers are totally going to rip it. They're going to rip this guy. Okay, the tube falls back. That is vital. Okay, there we go. We get out of there. Whew, we don't want to be giving the Axis player that bad boy. And now Luvas is actually in a really tough place, because we've just been buying T-34s with our fuel, and they have been not performing. Oh, we're going to buy another. Stop doing this! Stop throwing! But it's like the sunk cost fallacy or something. I feel like if players build T-34s and those T-34s die, I feel like players just get it in their head for some reason that they have to build more T-34s to achieve what the previous ones did not, and to like gain back the value lost in the previous T-34s. Don't do it. Just buy an Su-85. They're not even that much more expensive. They're like, what are they, like 40 more fuel and 50 more manpower? Just save. I'm serious, bro. Because a T-34 will probably die like the previous T-34s, man. I don't know. Oh no, I feel like Luvis had a really good sort of foothold in this game, and does take out an MG42, so that's nice. M42 AT gun in a nice position here, inflicting good hits on this Panzer IV. T-34 is actually going to come out onto a table where the Panzer IV has its engine broken and is at less than half health. So if the M42 AT gun, it should be creeping forwards. If we're coming in with the tank, then we're coming in with the AT gun, bro. It's like, decide, do you want to kill this Panzer IV now or not? If the answer is yes, you need to come in with both your AT units. You can't just be like skimming around here. Come on, you know it's out here. It had its engine broken, bro. It cannot be further back than this. Let's go. Okay, he comes forward. I mean, this is all very easy for me to say. I've got omnipotent observer vision, and I'm not having to micro all these units, so I can nitpick to my heart's content, and I will. Second Panzer IV ASF-J. Oh no. Well, then the T-34 starts looking real bad, man. Real bad. M42 AT gun chipping in for what that thing is worth, but you know what? This Panzer IV can probably just beat the T-34, so the M42 AT gun has to come forwards. Are we taking this Panzer IV or not? This is the window. If we can kill this Panzer IV before the next one comes out, the game is okay. If Skeletron can get to 2 Panzer IVs, the game starts looking a bit scary for Luvis. Are we going for this Panzer IV or not, man? We're just letting him repair it behind this hedge for some reason, when we could creep with the AT gun. You've got ambush camo. Like, this is cool. You can just creep with the AT gun. It's fine. It's basically free. Okay, double Panzer IV is up. Oh no, he loses these conscripts through inattention. Oh, I feel like Luvis is just starting to lose this game now. Oh no, and he wasn't holding fire with his tank, so it wastes shots into infantry. And the M42 AT gun is not in the fight. And now the second Panzer IV can come in and spit-rush this T-34. And the kill is not cemented on this first Panzer IV, so... Okay, now hopefully that one should do it. There we go, okay. Whoa, it's still alive. So the other M42 AT gun actually finds the rear armor of this Panzer IV. The T-34 actually skirts out and gets onto the rear armor of that. Was that a Telemine? I think it actually fell foul of Telemines there. Oh god, everything's getting so mixed up in this fight. He gets the engine bust on the second Panzer IV. This M42 AT gun, if it could just come down to about here, would be great. Okay, he kills the M42 with the Panzer IV. Now, can we get some attack ground rounds going here? Do we need attack ground rounds? I think we do. Come on. Oh no, the building's just in the way. And now the assault grenadiers are here. So this Panzer IV will probably survive, but he did lose a lot of his assault grenadiers, so Skeletron is just fighting with crumbs here. And the material, the most relevant... Actually, he has anti-tank overwatch. He could use that if he can even just see the Panzer IV. But yeah, the most material point from this last phase of play is that the first Panzer IV was destroyed, so the Axis player was not able to actually get up to 2 Panzer IV in a meaningful way. And... Oh, yikes. Did he salvage that Panzer IV? I thought that one got destroyed. Okay, then. That's a bit scary. Holy shit, the gun isn't even broken on this thing. I mean, you're not going to be able to get this thing out of there and repair it, are you? Yeah, because now this one's done, so he can come up here and destroy this Panzer IV. Oh, this is such a weird game. Oh shit, sorry, I've just realised Skeletron's about to get, like, destroyed on victory points. I've just been blabbering on about random stuff. I guess this hasn't been, like, the most sort of meta representing game. A lot of mistakes from both sides in this one. Anti-tank overwatch just coming down in a lame position. Kind of misses there. Now the Panzer IV is actually going to overrun into the base. What am I watching? This is such a weird game. He's going to lose this conscript squad. Oh my god. Both players just trading haymakers here. Let's turn the T-34. Turn. There we go. Blitz comes down. It's going to enable this Panzer IV to disengage. Skeletron with 1 Panzer IV and 3 squads of Pioneers somehow still representing map control here, which is like... I mean, he's still just out here winning. What the... So weird. This Panzer IV needs to start creeping along this northern line here. If it can creep along the north line and get back into the Soviet base here, that'd be so sick. Come on. Why are we not moving it? It's just sitting here. This is value we're missing. That could be movement right now. Every inch that Panzer IV moves back towards the Soviet base is massive, and he is leaving that value unmined. And that's a bit scary. T-34 manages to close the distance on this Panzer IV in the south. Armoured skirts, or the second star of veterancy. It's not actually armoured skirts because this is an House of J. Coming down here in the south. 10 points are remaining here for Skeletron, who's staying to the bitter end. Takes out the second Panzer IV. That's got to be game. Right? If we can just... Yeah. Oh no, that's an Axis unit. Dear God. I mean, 8 victory points remaining here, so Skeletron not technically dead. Hey, the only victory point that matters is the last one, am I right? Yeah. Oh, some engineers managed to hook up with the stricken Panzer IV up in north. Insane. That's a nasty surprise waiting for Skeletron. That one's in the post, buddy. He's sending up some units to go check it out. What's the situation with this Panzer IV? Well, you're not going to like what you're going to find, I'm afraid, mate. This Panzer IV actually has enough health to, like, not die now. Another T-34 getting added in here. Luvis's position just totally unassailable. I think this one's over. This Panzer IV has been so storied. This was the 3-star vet Panzer IV. Okay, now Skeletron sees that this thing has actually been largely repaired. He's going for a Stug. I mean, that is the one... That is the best unit he could buy. It's still not going to be enough. It's not going to be close. It's the most cost-effective solution for dealing with 3 medium tanks that Skeletron can access within the time frame that he has. But I mean, he's back on the bleed now. So no, wait, sorry, he's actually got the triple cap. Sorry, I keep thinking that Soviet stuff is red on the map. My bad. Okay then. Oh, God knows then. I mean, maybe we're going to be here for a few more minutes. Panzer IV gets repaired though. Surely you can just kill him with this. Right? I cannot believe he's managed to actually salvage a Panzer IV. That's just crazy.
Ready to deploy.
Here comes a Stug. Has he forgotten about this Panzer IV? He's just not using it. Come on, man. It's ready. Let's go. Oh, man. This has just been the craziest game.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
Okay, so the Stug just gets instantly pounced on. You can go ahead and leave the game now. Yep. There we go. Just kind of waiting for that one there. Wow, a bit of a weird last game, that one. Had a really entertaining sort of first 20 minutes or so, and then it just sort of felt like both players were just kind of flubbering around a little bit. And that happens from time to time. You know, in Smash Brothers, we have this phrase which is just like spaghetti, where it's just like both players are just like, ah! They're both sort of panicking, making mistakes, throwing out moves, and like the action doesn't really feel coherent, and it's just like, oh, spaghetti. It's just like crazy stuff happens, and it's just like, that's okay, it happens. So, okay. Wow, a lovely win taken by Luvis, though, in the end, finally closing the door with an Axis Panzer IV, which is nice. And showing that defensive tactics, aptly named, a good design, was able to do the defense against a very offensive and aggressive style of Wehrmacht play. So, yeah, Skeletron, a great player to watch, though. I'll try and hop into some more games from Skeletron if I see any, because it's just really cool the way he approaches the game from Axis. It's nice to see a more dynamic, Ivan-esque, sort of in-your-face, looking-for-blood style of play. And that's really cool. But yeah, defensive doctrine, it seems, up to the challenge. Access to the M42 AT gun and the Dansak, the two most crucial abilities for surviving the first 15 or 20 minutes of this game, and enabling Luvis to get into a composition where, you know, the 120mm mortar tube can come onto the field and start flourishing, and, you know, we even saw anti-tank Overwatch kill a Soviet tank, so that was fun. Great, cool. Well, I believe that will do it for today's cast. I mean, we're still in lockdown, so anticipate more videos coming to the channel in the near future. Thank you very much for choosing to spend your time with me today. It means a lot to me. It's I'm glad that we get to have fun out here on YouTube. And this for now, Magpie842 signing out.